They demanded humanity's surrender. Then causality's law changed everything. The aliens called humans weak, fragile upstarts who built empires on borrowed time. But in the void of 2379, a single accord proved that true power rewrites reality itself. In the serene expanse of the new Avalon system, 12 Terran Union colonies thrived under a century of peace. Over 500 million souls focused on farming vast orbital greenhouses and mining the Erebos asteroid belt for rare isotopes. Automated drones hummed through the void, harvesting resources without incident. No one expected the warp signatures that ripped open at the system's edge. 3,500 Ascendant Concord warships materialized, their hulls gleaming like predatory scales. Among them, 1,200 heavy destroyers bristled with plasma cannons, flanked by 800 carrier vessels launching fighter swarms. Advanced warp cloaks had masked their approach, a tactic honed over centuries of galactic dominance. The fleet positioned itself in a blockade formation, sensors locking onto every Terran asset. Aboard the TUS Oblivion's Edge, the flagship of the Terran fleet, alarms blared across the bridge. Admiral Elena Drake stood at the command console, her short black hair framing a face etched with resolve, her cold blue eyes scanning holographic displays. At 40, she wore the dark Terran Union uniform with silver insignia, a symbol of her strategic command. Data streamed in. Enemy forces outnumbered them 5-1, with only 700 Terran ships scattered across the system. The bridge crew, 1,200 strong, stirred with unease. Commander Rafael Ortiz, a sturdy man with a no-nonsense build and unwavering loyalty, gripped his station. "Admiral, long-range sensors confirm. That's no scout party, it's an invasion fleet." Whispers rippled through the ranks as panic edged in, eyes darting to view screens showing the alien armada. A video signal pierced their defenses, broadcasting on all channels. Admiral Kyle Vanar appeared, his gray-green skin taut, black gem-like eyes piercing the feed. "Terran Union," he intoned with arrogance, "you have expanded unchecked for too long. Surrender in 72 hours. Become our vassals or face annihilation." His voice echoed like a decree from ancient conquerors, promising total erasure if defied. Elena raised a hand, silencing the crew via the internal comms. "We've built 100 years of peace through vigilance, not submission," she said, her tone steady and cold. "Hold your posts. This is not the end." Internally, she accessed her secure terminal, fingers flying over controls to activate a classified protocol. The hollow accord stirred to life, a 50-year secret buried in the Union's core defenses. The scene shifted to the dark side of Luna Prime, a fortified moon base hidden in perpetual shadow. Dr. Miriam Holt, silver-haired and clad in a white lab coat over light armor, oversaw the Praxis Quantum Ledger Core with her team of 50 engineers. Consoles glowed in the dim, cavernous chamber, quantum processors humming like a cage storm. Holt frowned, her cautious nature flaring at the ethical weight. "If this goes wrong," she muttered to an aide, "we're tampering with causality itself." Back on the Ascendant flagship, War Marshal Drax Vorian paced the command deck, his black-scaled bulk towering, voice a guttural growl. "Why wait, Vanar? These younglings have only 700 ships. Crush them now." He slammed a fist on the rail, viewing humans as inferior prey, their history a footnote in the galaxy's annals. Elena leaned back in her chair, reflecting briefly on her roots. Born to a political dynasty, she'd forged her path in the military for independence, embracing a philosophy. Victory came not from brute force, but from redefining the rules. She watched the countdown clock tick to life, 72 hours until potential oblivion. Ascendant signals flooded the ether, public broadcasts sowing fear across neutral worlds, depicting Terrans as doomed interlopers. Ortiz approached, his heat evident in his clenched jaw. "Crew's holding, Admiral, but those propaganda vids are hitting hard. What's the play?" Elena met his gaze. "We activate the net. Let them see shadows first." She issued orders. "Deploy early warning probes into Erebos, masking preparations." Tension mounted as Ascendant scouts edged closer, testing defenses without firing. Vanar's fleet held position, but internal debates raged. "Their sensors are primitive," Drax argued. "One strike, and they fold. Vanar waved him off, opting for psychological pressure. Across the system, Terran civilians on Avalon Prime tuned into emergency alerts, evac drills kicking in quietly. Elena monitored from her cabin, the ship's hum a constant backdrop. She knew the Accord's layers: illusions to deceive, ledgers to enforce. As the first hour passed, a faint quantum ping confirmed activation. "It's begun," she whispered. The galaxy watched, fear spreading like a virus. But in the Union's heart, a calculated defiance brewed. Drax's impatience grew. "Send probe," he urged Vanar. "Expose their bluff." The Admiral relented partially, dispatching unmanned drones. On Oblivion's edge, Ortiz flagged the movement. "Incoming contacts, low threat." Elena nodded. "Let them come. The Accord whispers now." Holt's team on Luna Prime calibrated the core, energy levels spiking. "Ethical protocols engage," she reported via quantum link. "But Admiral, remember, this bends reality. One misstep—" Elena cut her off. "We bend or we break." The clock ticked, 71 hours left. Ascendant broadcasts intensified, mocking Terran peace as weakness. Neutral planets hesitated, alliances fraying. Elena addressed her crew again. "They see us as prey. We show them predators don't always bear teeth." Morale steadied, eyes on screens as shadows gathered. In Erebos, hidden lenses stirred, precursors to the net. Drax laughed from his post. Non-threats. But Vanar's eyes narrowed at anomalous readings. The stage set, tension coiled like a spring. Elena's philosophy hardened. Rewrite the game, win without waste. As the horizon darkened with enemy hulls, the hollow Accord awaited its reveal. The bridge of TUS Oblivion's edge thrummed with purpose, screens casting pale light across consoles. Admiral Elena Drake stood at the central holo display, her cold blue eyes tracking the Ascendant's 3,500 warships holding formation at New Avalon's edge. The countdown clock read 70 hours. Tension hung thick, but her voice cut through. "Status on Ethernet deployment," she ordered. Commander Rafael Ortiz, stationed at Tactical, responded without hesitation. "Ethernet at 60% activation. 4,000 gravitic lenses spooling up in the Erebos belt. Projected completion, 24 hours. His fingers danced over controls, coordinating with engineering teams to bring the 50-year-old secret online. The Hollow Accord, funded by 15% of Terran's defense budget since its inception, was no mere weapon. It was a paradigm shift. On Luna Prime's shadowed base, Dr. Miriam Holt adjusted quantum relays in the Praxis quantum ledger core. The cavernous chamber buzzed, its air heavy with coolant vapor. "The ledger's online," she reported via secure link. 2,500 lenses will reflect any attack to its source. But Admiral, a 0.1% failure rate could ripple causality across the system. Her silver hair caught the console's glow, her cautious tone underscoring the stakes. Elena didn't flinch. "Risk noted. Proceed." She turned to the holo display, where a ghost fleet of 10,000 holographic ships began materializing around the Ascendant Armada. Ethernet's illusion was flawless. Each projection mimicked Terran hull signatures down to the microsecond. The crew watched, breaths held as the net wove its deception. Across the void, Admiral Cale Vanar leaned forward on his flagship's command deck, his gray-green skin taut. "Smoke and mirrors," he scoffed, studying the sudden appearance of Terran ships. His black, gem-like eyes narrowed at sensor readouts. "Run quantum scans. Something's off." His officers scrambled, detecting faint anomalies in subspace frequencies. Vanar, bound by Ascendant's conquest-driven culture, hesitated. "Diplomacy first," he declared, preserving his honor. War Marshal Drax Vorian growled beside him, black scales glinting under harsh lights. "Send 50 scout drones. Test their trickery." Vanar waved him off. "Patience, Marshal. We break their spirit before their hulls." Ascendant propaganda flooded galactic channels, branding Terrans as backward upstarts, their 700-ship fleet a laughable defense. Elena countered with a public broadcast from Oblivion's edge. "We don't bow to empires," she said, voice like steel. "We bend rules they thought unbreakable." The signal reached neutral worlds, sowing doubt about Ascendant's invincibility. On the bridge, Ortiz rallied the crew, recounting Terran's victory 50 years prior against a rogue armada with just 200 ships. "We've faced worse odds," he said, his sturdy frame radiating conviction. In New Geneva, Elena joined a quantum-linked council meeting. Holograms of Terran leaders flickered in a sterile chamber, debating the Accord's activation. "It's our shield," Elena argued. "Praxis enforces consequences, not destruction." The council approved, but unease lingered. A misstep could destabilize alliances across 20 star systems. Holt's voice crackled through Elena's earpiece. "Ethernet's energy draw is spiking, 500 terawatts and climbing. If Ascendant probes get too close, the illusion might flicker." Elena nodded, unseen. "Adjust the lenses, keep them guessing." She turned to Ortiz. "Prep evac plans for 200 million outer colonists. If the net fails, we move fast." Ascendant drones crept closer to Erebos, their sensors probing. Ortiz flagged their approach. 50 contacts, low-yield scanners, non-hostile for now." Elena's lips thinned. "Let them see the shadows. They'll hesitate." The crew executed her orders, rerouting power to mask lens signatures. Vaynar's flagship buzzed with debate. "These readings don't add up," a technician reported. "The fleet's too perfect, too synchronized." Vaynar's pragmatism warred with his instincts. "Hold fire," he commanded, sensing a trap. Drax slammed a fist. "Cowardice! They're bluffing." His aggression clashed with Vaynar's restraint, fracturing their unity. On Luna Prime, Holt's team fine-tuned the ledger, quantum processors humming louder. "We're bending physics," she muttered, "but at what cost?" Her caution contrasted with Elena's resolve, yet she trusted the Admiral's vision. The ledger's core pulsed, ready to rewrite the rules of engagement. Elena stood alone in her cabin, the ship's hum a steady pulse. She recalled her defiance against her political family, choosing strategy over privilege. The Accord was her gambit, a chessboard where pawns could topple kings. "They think us prey," she murmured, eyes on the countdown. 68 hours. Ascendant propaganda intensified, mocking Terran's illusory strength. Neutral worlds wavered, their leaders bombarded with images of Ascendant's might. Yet whispers of Terran resilience spread, fueled by Elena's broadcast. On Avalon Prime, civilians drilled for evac, their trust in the Union unshaken. Orders approached, his voice low. "Crew's solid, but Ascendant's drones are closing in." "Orders?" Elena's gaze hardened. "Let them scan. The net holds." She activated a secondary protocol, masking lens emissions further. The bridge crew worked in sync, their movements precise, military discipline overriding fear. Vaynar's sensors flagged quantum distortions. "It's not just holograms," he told his officers. "They're hiding something bigger." Drax sneered. "Then we strike and expose it." Vaynar's restraint held, but cracks formed in his confidence. Holt's voice cut through again. "Net's stable, but we're pushing limits. One overload could expose us." Elena's response was curt. "Hold the line." The Accord's whispers grew louder, its deception tightening around the Ascendant like a noose. The galaxy watched, neutral worlds teetering between fear and hope. Terran probes relayed Ascendant movements, confirming no immediate attack. Elena's strategy leaned on time. Every hour bought strengthened the illusion. As the clock ticked, the Accord's true power loomed, unseen but inevitable. The ether net snapped into full activation, its 4,000 gravitic lenses casting a web of deception across the new Avalon system. From the bridge of TUS Oblivion's edge, Admiral Elena Drake watched as holographic readouts confirmed the illusion. 5,000 ghostly destroyers and 3,000 fighters materialized, circling the Ascendant's 3,500 warships with uncanny precision. The net's projections moved in lockstep with real-time data, mimicking engine signatures and weapon arrays down to 99.8% accuracy. Elena's cold blue eyes flicked across the displays, her fingers steady on the command console. "Sync complete," Commander Rafael Ortiz reported, his sturdy frame hunched over tactical. "Net's holding. Ascendant sensors are lighting up." The bridge crew, 1,200 strong, monitored their stations with laser focus, the hum of machinery blending with the faint crackle of comms. Outside, the Erebos asteroid belt glittered faintly, its lenses hidden among tumbling rocks. On Luna Prime, Dr. Miriam Holt adjusted the Praxis quantum ledger's core, its quantum processors glowing in the shadowed bunker. "Field stable," she said via link, her voice tight. "5 AU coverage, fully active. Any attack now triggers the ledger." Her silver hair caught the dim light as she scanned readouts, wary of the 0.1% failure risk that haunted her calculations. Across the void, Admiral Cale Vaynar leaned over his flagship's sensor array, his gray-green skin taut with suspicion. "This fleet's too perfect," he muttered, black gem-like eyes narrowing at the data. "No organic variance, no drift." His officers scrambled, cross-referencing the 10,000-ship illusion against known Terran capabilities. Vaynar summoned his council, their holographic forms flickering in the Ascendant's stark command chamber. "They're hiding something," he said. "Analyze every frequency." War Marshal Drax Vorian, pacing like a caged beast, scoffed at the hesitation. His black scales gleamed under harsh lights. "Enough delays. Their 700 ships can't match us. Send 200 warships to Avalon 3. Break their illusion." His growl carried the weight of Ascendant's conquest-driven dogma, viewing Terrans as prey unworthy of caution. Vaynar relented, his pragmatism bending under pressure. "Approved. Limited strike. Test their defenses." He authorized Drax to lead the assault, hoping to expose the Terran ruse without committing the full armada. Sensors tracked 200 Ascendant ships breaking formation, accelerating at 0.5 C toward Avalon 3, a colony of 50 million nestled in the system's outer rim. Ortiz flagged the movement on Oblivion's edge. "Contacts inbound, Admiral. Heavy destroyers, plasma arrays hot." Elena nodded, her expression unyielding. "Let them come. Adjust the net to mirror their approach." The crew recalibrated, lenses shifting to project the Ghost Fleet in a defensive arc around Avalon 3. The illusion tightened, a silent predator waiting to spring. Holt's voice crackled through. "Praxis is primed, ledgers linked to the net. Any shot they fire reflects." Her caution lingered, but she trusted Elena's command. The core hummed louder, its field enveloping the system like an invisible shield. On the bridge, Ortiz muttered to a junior officer, "They don't know what they just signed against." His words carried quiet confidence, the crew's morale bolstered by the unseen trap. Vaynar monitored from his flagship, his restraint fraying as Drax's force closed in. "If this is a bluff, we end it now," he told his officers, still wary of the quantum anomalies. Ascendant propaganda continued to flood galactic channels, branding Terrans as desperate pretenders. Neutral worlds watched, their leaders paralyzed by the looming clash. Elena stood at the heart of the bridge, her mind racing through contingencies. She recalled Terran history. A century ago, 10 million perished in a galactic skirmish, teaching humanity that brute force lost to cunning. "Biao Li becomes meaningless," she told Holt via link, "when consequences turn inward." The ledger was her gambit, a rule rewritten to render aggression futile. Drax's 200 ships reached firing range, their plasma cannons charging with enough energy to level cities. "Target their colony," he barked from his command deck. "Fire on my mark." His officers complied, locking onto Avalon 3's orbital stations. Sensors on Oblivion's edge blipped, confirming the threat. "They're powering weapons," Ortiz reported, his voice steady but urgent. Elena's lips thinned. "Hold position. Let Praxis work." The crew braced, eyes on screens as Ascendant ships aligned for the strike. The net's illusion held firm, projecting a counterforce that dwarfed Drax's detachment. Across the system, civilian channels buzzed with fear, but Terran discipline kept panic at bay. Vaynar's flagship intercepted faint quantum distortions, too late to warn Drax. "Something's wrong," he muttered, his instincts screaming trap. Drax ignored the caution, his voice booming over comms. "Enough riddles! Fire!" Plasma bolts lanced toward Avalon 3, their glow lighting the void like miniature suns. On Luna Prime, Holt's team watched the ledger's readouts spike. "Here it comes," she whispered, her hands steady on the controls. The core pulsed, its field ready to enforce the Accord's law. Elena's voice cut through the bridge's tension. "Steady. They'll learn." The Ascendant's attack loomed, a test of Terran resolve. Neutral worlds held their breath, their feeds locked on the unfolding drama. The clock ticked. 65 hours remained. The net's shadows danced, a silent promise of reversal. As Drax's cannons roared, the Accord prepared to whisper its truth, a truth that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of power. Plasma bolts streaked from Drax's 200 warships, cutting through the void toward Avalon 3. The colony's orbital defenses lit up on sensors, 50 million lives hanging in the balance. Each shot packed energy equivalent to 10 gigatons of TNT, enough to vaporize surface installations and ignite atmospheric storms. Drax's flagship led the charge, its cannons cycling for follow-up volleys. On Luna Prime, the Praxis Quantum Ledger Core flared to life. Quantum processors spun up, detecting the inbound fire. "Ledger engaging," Dr. Miriam Holt announced, her fingers steady on the console. The field activated seamlessly, its 2,500 lenses redirecting causality. Bolts reversed mid-flight, snapping back to their origins like elastic bands. Engines on 150 Ascendant ships ignited in reverse, plasma feedback ripping through hulls. Weapon systems shorted out, consoles sparking in chaos. Drax Vorian gripped his command rail, black scales bristling. "Enough riddles. Fire and let their illusions burn," he had barked moments before. Now his bridge shuddered as his own ship's drives backfired. Alarms wailed, systems locking down. "What sorcery is this?" he growled, staring at view screens showing his fleet stilled in space. Engines dead, weapons inert. The Armada hung silent, a graveyard of metal adrift. Aboard TUS Oblivion's Edge, Admiral Elena Drake monitored the public channels. The feed went live across the galaxy, broadcasting the Ascendant's self-inflicted paralysis. No Terran shots fired, yet 200 enemy vessels neutralized. Elena's cold blue eyes narrowed at the display. "They see it now," she said quietly. Neutral worlds tuned in, their networks relaying the spectacle. Invaders undone by their own aggression. Admiral Kyle Vaynar froze on his flagship's deck, gray-green skin paling. His black gem-like eyes widened in shock as data confirmed the reversal. "No firepower," he muttered. "They altered the laws themselves." Reports flooded in, engines reversed, systems fried. Vaynar's pragmatism cracked. This wasn't conquest, it was a rewrite of cause and effect. His officers exchanged panicked glances, the Ascendant's vaunted might exposed as fragile. Holt's voice cut through Elena's comms. "It's not a fleet, Admiral. It's a ledger. Every shot writes itself. Back into your own hull." Her tone carried quiet satisfaction, the core's hum steady in the background. Elena nodded unseen. "Confirmed. Casualties?" Holt checked. "Minimal on their side, mostly systems damage. No breaches." Commander Rafael Ortiz pumped a fist on the bridge, his sturdy frame alive with energy. "Yes!" he shouted, the crew erupting in cheers. Morale surged, enemies defeated without a single Terran loss. "They walked right into it," Ortiz said, clapping a technician's shoulder. The 1-200 aboard Oblivion's Edge watched replays, spirits lifted by the flawless execution. In the airboat's belt, Ethernet lenses maintained the illusion, consuming 500 terawatts per hour. Backup systems kicked in, routing power from hidden solar arrays to prevent overload. The net's 4,000 units hummed undetected, projections still encircling the crippled detachment. No flicker betrayed the deception. The Ghost Fleet loomed as if ready to strike. Drax's flagship limped, its drives sputtering. "Emergency retreat," he roared, voice echoing over failing comms. Only 50 vessels responded, thrusters firing weakly to pull away. The rest drifted harmlessly, crews scrambling for life support. Drax slammed a console, his growl turning to frustration. "Report to Vaynar. Terran trickery." Escape pods jettisoned from the worst-hit ships, scattering like debris. News ripped through interstellar nets, feeds exploding with footage of the Ascendant's humiliation. 20 subjugated planets under their rule stirred, rebel cells activated, demanding autonomy. Uprisings sparked on fringe worlds, civilians chanting against the Empire. Galactic analysts dissected the event, crediting Terran ingenuity over brute force. Elena leaned on her console, the bridge still buzzing. Phase 1 complete, she told Ortiz. Monitor for reinforcements. He nodded, rerouting sensors to track Vaynar's main fleet. The countdown clock ticked. 64 hours left. Holt patched in again. Ledger's cooldown initiated. Energy stable. Her caution remained, but the success validated the Accord's design. Vaynar's command deck descended into controlled panic. "Pull back the scouts," he ordered, his voice sharp. Officers complied, recalling drones from Erebos edges. He stared at the feeds, the self-destruction replaying. They didn't fight, they enforced. His mind raced through tactics. No counter existed for this. Ascendant propaganda faltered, their broadcasts drowned by viral clips of the failure. Ortiz coordinated with Avalon 3 defenses. Colony secure, no impacts. Cheers echoed again, the crew's heat fueling their vigilance. Elena's philosophy echoed in her thoughts. Rewrite the rules. Render violence obsolete. The galaxy shifted, whispers of Terran supremacy spreading. Drax's surviving ships regrouped at the system's fringe, transmissions frantic. "We need extraction," he demanded over encrypted channels. Vaynar hesitated, weighing the loss. 40% of the probe force is gone. 200 ships, now scrap. Neutral observers noted the shift, alliances realigning toward the Union. Holt's team on Luna Prime ran diagnostics. Net's integrity at 98%, ready for next phase. Elena's response was crisp. "Stand by." The Accord's truth echoed, humanity's edge lay in intellect, not arms. As uprisings gained momentum, the Ascendant's grip loosened, one self-inflicted wound at a time. Admiral Kale Vaynar's flagship command deck crackled with urgency, holographic displays replaying the self-destruction of Drax's 200 ships. Officers huddled around consoles, dissecting sensor logs frame by frame. 40% losses, a technician reported, voice clipped. Engines reversed, weapons offline, no external fire detected. Vaynar's gray-green skin tightened, his black gem-like eyes reflecting the data's grim truth. The Praxis quantum ledger's power was undeniable. A single probe had crippled their force without a counter. He summoned his council, their forms materializing in the Stark chamber. "This changes everything," Vaynar stated. "We analyze, then act." Across the system, Admiral Elena Drake paced the bridge of Oblivion's edge, her short black hair framing a focused expression. She drafted a secure transmission to the Ascendant flagship. "We offer terms," she dictated to her comms officer. "Withdraw now. Preserve your honor. Our tech defends only, no offensives launched." The message emphasized Praxis as a shield, not a sword, designed to enforce accountability in war. Elena hit send, watching the signal arrow through the void. The crew, still buzzing from the victory, monitored for responses. On Luna Prime, Dr. Miriam Holt ran simulations in the Ledger's core chamber, quantum hum filling the air. "Admiral, if we expose even a fraction of this," she warned via link, "it could spark quantum wars galaxy-wide. Models show 70% escalation risk to total annihilation." Her silver-haired caution clashed with the moment's triumph, but Elena valued it. "Noted. We share wisely," Elena replied, her voice steady. The Accord's secrets demanded restraint. Humanity's edge lay in measured use. Back on Vaynar's deck, alarms signaled incoming Terran vessels, rescue teams closing on the crippled Ascendant ships. War Marshal Drax Vorian, now detained in a holding cell after his failed probe, raged against his restraints. His black-scaled bulk strained the force field. "Attack full force," he bellowed through the intercom. "Their trick won't hold against our armada." Vaynar silenced him with a gesture. "Your aggression cost us 200 ships. We won't repeat it." Fear of similar reversals outweighed Drax's hawkish demands. The Council voted to stand down. Commander Rafael Ortiz led the rescue op from Oblivion's edge, coordinating 50 Terran shuttles. "Approach vectors clear," he ordered, his sturdy frame at the tactical station. The teams docked with drifting hulls extracting 5,000 stranded Ascendant crew. Medics treated burns from feedback blasts, offering aid without hostility. "We're not conquerors," Ortiz told a captured officer via translator. "Just defenders." The act broadcast galaxy-wide, showcasing Terran humanity amid the Accord's cold efficiency. In New Geneva's fortified council hall on Avalon Prime, Holographic leaders debated under domed ceilings etched with star maps. Praxis stays classified, one argued, but share Ethernet basics with 5 allies for balance. Elena joined remotely, her feed crisp. Agreed. Illusions deter without the ledger's risks. The vote passed unanimously, positioning the Terran Union as a stabilizing force. Outside, civilians watched feeds of the rescues, pride swelling in their 500 million strong population. Vaynar's console pinged with Elena's offer. He opened a direct channel, his image flickering on Oblivion's bridge. Your fleet is smoke and mirrors, he said, voice laced with doubt. Ascendant weapons would crush it. But the words rang hollow now, his earlier arrogance shattered by the ledger's proof. Elena met his gaze unflinching. Yet we stand uncrushed. Accept terms, peace through shared accountability, not raising worlds. Her cold tone carried philosophy. Sustainability demanded more than deterrence. It required mutual restraint. Vaynar weighed the proposal, his counsel murmuring. Stand down, he ordered finally. 2,000 Ascendant ships formed a defensive screen, escorting the main fleet's gradual retreat from New Avalon's edge. No further probes launched, engines powered up for warp, avoiding any aggressive maneuvers. Sensors on Oblivion's edge confirmed the pullback, the armada shrinking on displays. The galaxy tuned in, analysts on neutral stations predicting Ascendant's decline. 15% prestige loss, one broadcast noted, citing fractured alliances and rising rebellions. 20 subjugated worlds amplified the footage, their underground networks buzzing with hope. Terran probes tracked the withdrawal, ensuring no tricks. They're folding, Ortiz said, a grin breaking his serious demeanor. The crew exhaled, tension easing as the immediate threat receded. Holt patched in from Luna Prime. Core's stable post-activation, but watch for espionage. Ascendant won't forget this. Elena nodded. Deploy countermeasures. She turned to the council feed. Phase 2, fortify alliances. Decisions flowed. Share net schematics with trusted partners, limited to illusions, no reflections. The move aimed to counterbalance empires like Ascendant without proliferating the ledger's dangers. Drax's cell echoed with his growls, but Vaynar ignored him, focusing on damage control. Extract our personnel, he commanded, accepting Terran aid grudgingly. Shuttles ferried the 5,000 back, a humiliating exchange. Vaynar's mind churned. Adapt or perish. His fleet's retreat accelerated, 3,300 ships intact, but morale battered. Elena stood at her console, the bridge humming with activity. Monitor borders, she ordered. The countdown clock, now irrelevant, ticked to 60 hours. Neutral envoys signaled interest, drawn by Terran's non-lethal victory. Analysts projected a 15% dip in Ascendant influence, opening doors for diplomacy. Ortiz approached. Rescues complete, no incidents. Elena's lips curved slightly. Good. Show them we're better. The galaxy shifted, echoes of doubt rippling through Ascendant ranks. Vaynar's channel closed, his admission unspoken but clear. Retreat continued, screens covering the exodus. Terran sensors locked on, ready for any reversal. Holt's simulations ran on, warning of long-term risks. 70% escalation if leaked, she reiterated. Elena filed it away. The Accord's whisper had become a roar, humanity's intellect outshining alien might. As ships vanished into warp, peace hung fragile, built on rewritten rules. Rebellion ignited across Ascendant space, fueled by viral footage of the self-inflicted defeat. 15 vassal planets declared independence, their leaders broadcasting the Terran victory to rally populations. Uprisings erupted on core worlds, clashing with loyalist forces in street battles that claimed 100,000 lives in the initial chaos. Guerrilla strikes targeted supply depots, communications fracturing the Empire's hold. Neutral observers noted the cascade, one world's defiance inspiring another. Ascendant patrols stretched thin. Admiral Vaynar stared at his flagship's displays, gray-green skin etched with strain. Reports flooded in, lost territories, mutinies in the ranks. We negotiate, he decided, overriding hardliner objections. He dispatched a delegation of 50, including science advisors eager to probe the Praxis mystery. The meeting was set at a neutral asteroid outpost beyond New Avalon, a barren rock with shielded docking bays and zero-G conference halls. Vaynar's pragmatism drove him. Survival demanded understanding, not endless war. Admiral Elena Drake led the Terran side from Tus Oblivion's edge, her uniform crisp as she boarded a shuttle with Dr. Miriam Holt and Commander Rafael Ortiz. The trio moved through the ship's corridors, boots echoing on metal grates. Transparency on defense only, Elena instructed, her cold blue eyes scanning security feeds. Holt nodded, clutching a data slate on the ledger's specs. Ortiz, ever vigilant, checked his sidearm. Security's tight. No surprises. The outpost docking clamps engaged with a thud, delegations facing off in a pressurized chamber lined with viewports overlooking the stars. Vaynar's team arrived armored, their advisors carrying sensor packs. Elena stepped forward. The hollow accord is defensive, she stated flatly. Ethernet deceives, Praxis enforces. No attacks from us, ever. Hollow displays activated, projecting schematics of the net's 4,000 lenses and Ledger's quantum core. Terran tech laid bare, but redacted for risks. War Marshal Drax Vorian, still confined on Vaynar's ship, plotted from his cell. He hacked a low-level comms relay, signaling loyalists for a micro-coup, seize the delegation, and force a counterstrike. His black-scaled fingers tapped codes, voice a low growl. End this weakness. But Vaynar's security AI flagged the breach, tracing it back. Guards stormed in, restraining Drax further. Treason, Vaynar declared over the intercom. You're done. Drax represented the old guard. Stubborn hawks unwilling to adapt, now sidelined. Holt engaged Ascendant scientists in a side room, her silver hair catching artificial light. Praxis binds warfare only, she explained. Diagrams glowing. No civilian interference. Energy capped at 1 petawatt to prevent overloads. The advisors leaned in, probing ethics. Could it be weaponized? Holt countered firmly. It's a mirror, not a blade. Aggression rebounds, that's the point. Discussions heated, but Holt's caution won respect, highlighting humanity's restraint amid power. Ortiz patrolled the outpost perimeter, his sturdy build alert to anomalies. Sensors pinged, an Ascendant operative slipping toward a data port, attempting to hack Ethernet feeds. Intruder! Ortiz barked into his comm, moving fast. He intercepted the spy, disarming him with a precise takedown. The hack failed against quantum encryption, code layers unraveling the attempt. Nice try, Ortiz said, hauling the agent to holding. Security teams swept the area, confirming no backups. Perimeter secure, he reported to Elena. Vaynar reconvened with Elena, his black gem-like eyes meeting hers. We concede, he admitted, voice measured. Full withdrawal in 48 hours. He signed the digital pact on a shared console. Ascendant retreats, Terrans withhold tech from rivals. No further hostilities, borders respected. Elena countersigned, the accord sealed with biometric scans. Honor preserved, she said. Vaynar nodded, a rare gesture of acknowledgement. His fleet began final maneuvers, engines warming for warp. Elena returned to Oblivion's edge, shuttle docking smoothly. Alone in her quarters, she reflected on the win. No shots fired, yet empires shifted. Terran history inspired her. 200 years of peaceful expansion through innovation, not conquest. We proved it, she murmured, staring at star charts. Humanity's strength lay in redefining conflict, turning aggression inward. On Luna Prime's bunker, Holt powered down the Praxis core, its hum fading to silence. Consoles dimmed as she archived data streams for posterity. Temporary shutdown, she told her team. But warn the council, abuse invites disaster. Her voice carried weight, ethical safeguards embedded in every protocol. The moon's dark side loomed outside, a reminder of hidden powers. Galactic news exploded with praise for Terran ingenuity. Feeds dubbed them rule changers, forums buzzing with debates. Analysts tracked a 200% surge in Union prestige, alliances requests pouring in. Neutral empires tuned in, viewing humanity not as upstarts, but as architects of balance. Rebellion swelled, Ascendant's fractures deepening as vassals broke free. Ortiz debriefed the crew on the bridge. Treaty holds, they're gone in 2 days. Cheers erupted, morale at its peak. Elena addressed them via intercom. We defended without destruction. That's our legacy. Sensors confirmed Ascendant's exodus, 3,300 ships vanishing into hyperspace trails. Vaynar's flagship lingered briefly, transmitting final logs. Internal reforms loomed, a shift from conquest to defense. Drax's fate sealed his faction's decline. The galaxy watched, Terran signals inviting dialogue. Elena's gambit echoed, intellect over might, peace through enforced equity. Holt's archives secured, she linked to Elena. Data safe. What's next? Elena's reply was crisp. Vigilance. The outpost emptied, shuttles departing. Fractures spread, empires realigning. Humanity stood tall. The Accord's whisper now a galactic roar. The last Ascendant warships blinked out of sensor range, their warp trails fading like ghosts in the void. 3,300 vessels retreated from New Avalon, leaving behind the hulks of 200 crippled ships as silent monuments to folly. Automated Terran drones swept the debris field, cataloging wreckage for analysis, no salvage, just data to refine defenses. Admiral Elena Drake watched from TUS Oblivion's Edge Bridge, her cold blue eyes tracking the exodus. The system breathed easier, colonies resuming orbits without the shadow of invasion. Admiral Kel Vaynar's flagship lingered at the edge, engines cooling for the long haul back to Ascendant core worlds. Internal briefings raged in his command chamber, officers dissecting the debacle. Reform now, Vaynar commanded, his gray-green skin set in resolve. Shift to shields over swords. No more blind conquests. Mutinies simmered in lower decks, hardliners like Drax's remnants whispering dissent. But Vaynar quashed them. His fleet downsized en route, reallocating resources to R&D, probing Terran tech indirectly, and adapting without theft. Elena returned to New Geneva via shuttle, docking at the Council's orbital station. Holographic leaders convened in a chamber with panoramic star views, debating post-victory strategy. Share Ethernet fragments with 5 allies, Elena proposed, her voice cutting through debates. Illusions only, no ledger access. The Council nodded. Schematics transmitted securely, limited to deceptive projections. Allies tested prototypes in simulations, bolstering mutual defense without escalating risks. Dr. Miriam Holt labored in Luna Prime's bunker, upgrading the Praxis core amid glowing consoles. Risk down to 0.001%, she reported, integrating feedback loops from the encounter. Defensive only, protocols locked. Her silver hair fell forward as she coded, emphasizing ethics in every line. The moon's dark craters outside symbolized buried power, now refined for precision. Holt's team ran stress tests, ensuring no overloads in future activations. Commander Rafael Ortiz, newly promoted to executive officer, addressed Oblivion's Edge crew in the hangar bay. Rows of 1-200 personnel stood at attention, faces etched with fresh scars of tension. Strength from smarts, not barrels, he said, his sturdy frame commanding respect. We turned their fire inward. Lesson learned. Applause rippled. He distributed commendations, turning the victory into doctrine. Training sims updated overnight, incorporating the Accord's mechanics for recruits. Drax Vorian faced a tribunal on Vaynar's ship, a stark chamber with force field restraints. Your haste doomed us, the panel declared, stripping his rank. Exile loomed, banishment to a fringe outpost, his black-scaled form a symbol of outdated aggression. Drax growled in defiance, but chains held firm. You'll regret this weakness, he spat. Vaynar observed remotely, sealing the verdict. The old ways crumbled, hawks clipped in the Empire's restructuring. In the Erebos belt, maintenance crews serviced Ethernet lenses, expanding to 6,000 units across adjacent systems. Drones welded reinforcements, power grids upgraded for sustained ops. Perimeter extended, a foreman reported to Elena via link. The belt's asteroids tumbled unchanged, hiding the grid's growth, a silent expansion of Terran reach without fanfare. Elena met Holt in a secure Luna Prime lab, the core's hum a low backdrop. Peace needs transparency, Elena said, leaning on a console. Shared burdens, not solo threats. Holt nodded, drawing from humanity's past, nuclear standoffs overcome through pacts. We avoided that abyss, she replied. Their dialogue sharpened policy, monitor allies, prevent misuse. Elena's philosophy crystallized, rewrite rules to make violence self-defeating, fostering equity. The galaxy transformed overnight. 10 rival empires pinged Terran channels seeking pacts. Your ledger humbles us, one envoy transmitted, fearing Ascendant's void. Alliances formed in neutral hubs, treaties drafted with Accord-inspired clauses, mutual defense via deterrence, and no escalations. Rebellions in Ascendant space escalated, 15 worlds fully seceding, their fleets repurposed for independence. Vaynar, en route home, composed a private missive to Elena. Respect earned, it read, transmitted via encrypted burst. Paths may cross again, in dialogue. His black gem-like eyes stared at starfields, pondering adaptation. Ascendant's military pivoted. R&D labs buzzed with quantum mimics, but without the ledger's bite. Fleet slimmed to essentials, economy redirecting from war machines to trade. Ortiz oversaw Oblivion's edge refits, installing net interfaces fleet-wide. We're the Guardians now, he told engineers, tools clanging in zero-G bays. Crew drilled on scenarios, simulated invasions reversed mid-strike. Morale peaked. Humanity's ingenuity celebrated in shipboard toasts. Holt's upgrades finalized. The core idled in standby. Ready for threats, she assured Elena. Simulations projected stability. No quantum wars if protocols held. The moon base sealed tighter and access codes rotated. Elena addressed the council one last time. We won without waste. That's power. Approvals flowed. Funds allocated for expansion. 10 empires formalized ties, their envoys arriving in Avalon orbits. Ascendant's retreat echoed, a vacuum filled by balanced packs. Vaynar's signal arrived as Elena boarded her shuttle. She read it alone, a nod to mutual evolution. Paths indeed, she murmured. The galaxy watched, humanity's edge undeniable. Intellect forging peace from potential ruin. Drax's transport launched, bound for exile. His growls faded into irrelevance, a footnote in reform. Erebos crews wrapped up, lenses humming anew. Expansion complete, borders secured. Holt archived final data, ethics intact. Ortiz promoted the last medal, crew dismissed to rest. Vaynar's fleet vanished into warp, reforms underway. Elena returned to Oblivion's edge, the system clear. Tension released, but vigilance eternal. Humanity stood apex, not through clause but code. Terran Union solidified its status as a galactic powerhouse. New Avalon's population swelling 10% from refugees fleeing crumbling Ascendant worlds. Displaced families docked at orbital stations, integrating into colonies with shared tech and resources. Automated systems processed arrivals efficiently, assigning habitats amid the system's 12 thriving outposts. Elena Drake oversaw from TUS Oblivion's edge, her role evolving from defender to architect of alliances. No longer the isolated strategist from a political clan, she embodied humanity's adaptive core, resilient, innovative, unyielding. Elena received honors in New Geneva's Grand Hall, medals pinned to her uniform amid holographic displays of the Accord's triumph. Architect of strategy, the council proclaimed, her book on warfare's rules hitting 1 million galactic sales. Chapters dissected the ledger's mechanics, advocating defense through reflection. Readers across stars debated its implications. Terran prestige drawing envoys from 10 empires. Elena's cold blue eyes softened briefly during the ceremony, reflecting on her journey, from doubting her path to proving intellect's supremacy. Dr. Miriam Holt pursued research in Luna Prime's expanded labs, sharing praxis basics with allies under strict protocols. Defensive use only, she insisted in joint sessions, international oversight ensuring no escalations. Her caution, once a whisper, now guided policy, simulations refined, ethics woven into code. Holt's silver hair framed a face marked by quiet pride. She'd transformed from wary inventor to guardian of balance. Allies tested variance in controlled fields, fostering equity without the ledger's full bite. Commander Rafael Ortiz mentored new officers on Oblivion's edge, simulations replaying the Ascendant probe's reversal. Hollow Accord is history, he taught, his sturdy frame commanding classrooms. Promoted in season, Ortiz shifted from loyal aide to leader, instilling lessons of cunning over force. Cadets drilled on net deployments, absorbing tales of the standoff. "We rewrote the game," he said, evoking cheers. His heat fueled the next generation, ensuring Terran tactics endured. Vanar reformed Ascendant from its core, diplomacy replacing aggression. Fleet trimmed to 2,000 ships, resources funneled to economy and tech. Worlds stabilized under new pacts, his black gem-like eyes overseeing transitions. Vaner's pragmatism saved his empire from collapse. Though scars lingered, lost territories a constant reminder. Internal trials purged hawks, focusing on sustainable power. Drax Vorian faded into legend as a cautionary tale, his exile on a barren rock symbolizing rash failure. Stories painted him as the hasty predator undone by human traps, his black scales a metaphor for outdated might. Galactic lore whispered his end lightly, leaving audiences to imagine the isolation's toll. In New Geneva, the Council established a 100 billion credit fund for peace research, inspired by the Accord. Labs buzzed with projects, enhanced nets, ethical AI, quantum stabilizers. Elena contributed designs linking back to Erebos expansions. The fund's reach extended alliances, drawing in 10 more empires for collaborative drills. The galaxy saw waves of liberation. 25 planets broke free, slashing Ascendant influence by 50%. Rebellions turned to governance, adopting Terran models of accountability. Uprisings quelled not by force but pacts, humanity's example rippling outward. Neutral stations hosted summits, envoys crediting the Ledger's shadow for the shift. Elena stood alone on Oblivion's edge observation deck, stars stretching endless. Her transformation complete, from a woman forging independence to one who bent reality for peace, she pondered the core truth. "Strength isn't in weapons," she said softly, voice carrying the weight of revelation. "It's in changing the game so violence echoes back, hollow and pointless. We made aggression meaningless, reflecting consequences to forge real equity. Peace endures not through fear, but shared responsibility." Minbach. Binding us all. That's our legacy, a ledger of hope, where humanity leads by rewriting the stars. Her words lingered, a quiet manifesto etched in her mind, the galaxy forever altered by that singular accord.